Up next, we get to see what this vision he just painted for us looks like in practice. Jason Lowe's going to come back and sit down with Manish Dudeja. How did I do? Fantastic. Senior Vice President of Technology and Head of Advisor Practice Experience at LPL Financial. Manish has been at this center, the very center of how LPL is bringing this work to the field. Please welcome Jason and Manish to the stage. Well done.
Manish. So glad to be back, and I'm excited to sit down with Manish. Manish, you should also know that part of my talent rider is that we get really bougie chairs up here, so it's actually very comfortable. They're very heavy.
Really comfy.
Yeah, so I thank the team for doing this. So first of all, thank you for having this chat with us today. In Mark's session, he just walked us through a future, right, where judgment and systems can be used to reinforce one another. And so you've led major transformation efforts throughout your career, and you're living the AI evolution at LPL right now. And so before we get into that, I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about your role and the teams that you're supporting.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for having me here. I'm really excited to share our LPL journey with the compensation Vericent team, as well as in general our AI journey with you all. So just want to briefly talk about what LPL is. LPL is a country's independent broker-dealer. We are one of the largest. We have 32,000 advisors, financial advisors, who are affiliated with us. They serve 8 million American clients, and then they have, and we are managing around $2.5 trillion in assets for them. So you can imagine there's a lot of money which goes into managing that effort. It's incredible. I mean, the financial advice is the most critical advice which you can give to the households, how the generational wealth have been developed. So, and this is what we do here at LPL. And about me, I'm a SVP of technology. I think as Nicole mentioned, joined LPL in 2024. My team and I, we look after revenue generation system, comp, fee billing, as well as advisor onboarding. Prior to joining LPL, I was with JP Morgan Asset Management for 12 years. We built ETF platform. I mean, if you are familiar with ETFs and mutual funds, it was similar transition. We were talking about 12 years ago, it's just a deja vu. We are talking about AI right now. We're talking about mutual funds, so how the money is going to move to ETFs. And today, I think 12, 15 years later, I can say that the ETFs have grown a lot. So, and they are seeing a lot of money moving out of mutual funds. I think it's like a similar situation right now with AI and taking us to a next level. And at LPL, as I mentioned, the scale and volume, I think those are the fundamentals to what we think we need to achieve, and that's a success.
Sure. And I love that you're driving this journey. You said 32,000, is that right? 32,000 advisors, $2.3 trillion.
That's T.
It's a lot. It's big. So first of all, thank you for sharing that. So I'm so glad you're here to sit down with us, because you have a great perspective on this. So the scale of the transformation that you're leading at LPL is remarkable. And again, 32,000 is a lot. Supporting trillions and trillions. So it's no surprise that you've had to be incredibly strategic, right, with how you're evolving and modernizing your commercial and your compensation processes. And so what I want to ask is, before evolving your approach, right, how did revenue planning, how did performance management, how did compensation work at LPL prior to this journey?
Yeah, so at LPL, we have a revenue generation platform, which was developed 34 years ago.
Sorry, 34 years?
34 years. I think I was in elementary school at that time.
Sure, yeah. Wow,
So,
homegrown systems, 34 years.
34 years.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So it's that old, but it works well. It has different comp plans. It has, different complexity of the different deals which we do with our clients, and it manages all those things. But it has its limits. So we had to build a lot of peripheral systems around it, a lot of workflows, some operationally managed, some systems, pull the data out, push the data back. I think we
Sure.
talked in the morning about data integration patterns and all those things. So we had to live with it, what we had. And as the business scaled, we realized that this is a movement that it's not going to go beyond certain points. And it started generating a lot of advisor friction. Advisor friction means they are our clients, and they are serving their own clients, those 8 million, the American clients here. So it was also very operational inefficient. And it was just creating a lot of risk as well. We are a financial firm, there's a lot of fiduciary duty. And that's when we realized, that we have to do something about it. And that's when we entered into partnership with Verisent in 2022.
So thank you. So 34-year system and then just bolting on and trying to keep it manual along the process. I would say that fragmentation, right, and that friction was no doubt a natural byproduct, right, of the process as LPL was evolving due to the scale of the advisors that you're supporting and the data, like the volumes of data that you're managing. And I'm curious, to go on this journey, like what was the moment, right, or moments, right? It may not have been a singular moment, but what was the moment that you and the other LPL leaders kind of looked around at each other and realized that the previous approach was no longer serving the business? Like, how did that begin?
Yeah, for us, it was not a single moment. I think it was a pattern, which we noticed how firm was evolving. We were gathering more assets, more organic growth we were seeing in our business, and we entered into a partnership with Prudential in 2022 of August, September timeframe, and we brought in 2,800 more financial advisors from them, and their products which they were supporting, which traditionally we had not supported. So the complexity of the platform become even increased or dramatically, exponentially. And we realized we have to do more manual work now to support it. So the scale and volume was really, really hard for us to manage. The real point was that we just asked ourselves a question that if we have to grow at this rate, we calculate how many advisors we had in 2018, how many we are landing in 2022, and we have to, let's imagine the same growth rate on a linear equation. Nothing is linear, but let's just assume. Even that happens, then how will we work? So we just asked ourselves a question that, is this the system who's going to take us forward? And the answer was clearly no, because we were already struggling with it. So, that's where we look at modernizing the platform, made some decisions. How we started looking at compensation was less of an operational back office system. This is how it was always positioned at LPL. We started looking at it more as a front office strategic system, which can drive advisor retention. You could detect their sentiments early, you could engage them at time, and you can also support their growth. Just to explain this point, could I know, I think Mark touched on this, could I know if there are some financial advisors who are actually planning to move out of LPL? Can I predict it? Mm-hmm. Maybe I can. If I just go deep dive, look into the data, which I never measure today. So I think there are infinite possibilities here. That's where we are putting, a plan in place.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think origin story-wise, and a lot of I'm sure many of you feel this as well, is M&A, or to your point with Prudential, the new partnership, are obviously catalysts that say that, look, we need to transform and we need to service the needs of the business moving forward. You also said to me when we were talking separately that you have the population of the advisors, but it's actually, there's surrounding functions around that, like larger teams. And so it's, how big does that get? You mentioned that.
We have 32,000 advisors we are supporting, but they are not by themselves. They have an office has an office manager. They have admins who are supporting their marketing staff. I think there are around 100,000 people who are kind of associated with us. So that's the population we serve right now.
So as you're going through these shifts, they're trying to change and pivot as the needs change, whether it be, again, M&A, partnerships, whatever, you have to draw alignment of those 100,000 people to make sure that they're all marching in lockstep. So, okay, so that's the origin. So let's fast forward a little bit to today. You're probably not done. I don't know if anyone's ever done, but where are you on the transformation journey?
So we divided the problem into multiple steps. And we started measuring them differently. We were trying to figure out what does actually advisor want, because that's our client. So we looked into maybe there is not enough I mean, not maybe, actually, we did determine that there is not enough transparency. They are getting into what they are getting paid right now. So how do we increase transparency into the system? We also look into the scalability aspect of it. We are processing right now 25 million transactions a day. We wanted to go to 50 million transactions a day, like projecting the gap.
Which are 25 million to 50
Which
million
we already
per
do
day.
today.
Okay.
So we wanted to double it to see like how this go. But again, the goalposts shift as you grow faster.
Got it.
That was
Sure.
what was set up at that point of time. And then similarly, we were looking at scale problem, like how do we process these faster so that they get paid on time faster. So it's not like, okay, you will get paid
Sure.
month later. So we want to pay them as soon as we could. So we started with advisor transparency. We built this reporting solution I was telling you about in Verisend to give advisors insights into what is going into their compensation. They could track what is held, what is actually getting paid, what are their 1099s. All of those insights, we gave it to them. Similar to their program managers, there are different personas like who are looking at the same data and helping them make the business decisions. So imagine that you know how much money you are going to get in month from now. So you can just make some decisions, or you can look into what is actually getting stuck. Maybe do you need to get more involved? So we are already at a stage where we have built this reporting platform used by 100,000 people. Now we are also improved some of those workflows which are processing this data.
Sure.
They are also improved. We have long way to go, but still I think we have come a long way right now, and we have more work to do. I think we are in mid-transformation stage right now, more than 50% done, but still more to go.
Wow, 50%. I'm curious because you talked about transparency and increasing visibility for that. I guess having gone through this stuff, even still 50%, but you're seeing a lot of the benefits from it across your ecosystem, what has the work that you and your teams that you've done to date unlocked for the business? Like, what does that mean by giving that additional visibility and that additional things from an advisor standpoint?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what are we measuring. So we were looking at, are we receiving calls from advisors? Are they asking us, I think Mark showed an example, like how did you make this payment to me? Like what was calculated? Explain me the numbers. So by building those dashboards, again, before AI era, like looking at this dashboard and trying to explain those numbers, so they become a self-service. And we were also looking at a lot of these M&As. We're saying, okay, we recently got into a merger with Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. They're a very well-known name. Actually, they are based out of Boston. Mm-hmm. So, and there was a lot of organic growth. Now I think we become ready for those M&As. We are not asking the question that would we be able to go there. We know we'll be able to go. We'll be able to scale further. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities which are open up. And then we were also looking at a lot of self-service tools for advisors, so they don't have to actually call. Less number of cases, less number of operational involvement, and more self-service. I think those were the mantras which we were trying to follow. One more interesting fact we were looking at advisors, so saying like, how do we position, I touched on this, just not looking at it as I said, like a processing engine, what is that I'm getting paid, but also what if they could say, I need to go to these markets. I'm not covering Northeast region. I'm not covering Southeast region. Which products sell more in California versus which products sell more in New York metro area? I think that's a very different way to looking at the problem. That's about growing your client base. Yeah. That's not about just getting paid. That's about like, what are others doing? How do I grow further? So I think that's what we aim to do. We are not there yet. That's all are the possible opportunities in front of us.
Well, I love that because what you're doing when you look at it, you segment it like that, what are the things I can do that can maximize the yield for the dollar spent? How do I get the biggest bang for my buck? And I think that's certainly in a time of growth and efficiency, and as Mark talked about, or as Sam Altman talked about, just kidding. It's obviously trying to find those things. And I think that your results certainly speak for themselves, in addition to, again, the massive efficiency gains that you've talked about with your 32,000 advisors, now having full visibility to their compensation, and that's directly, as you said, impacted their trust and their performance. In addition to the transparency, I'm curious, so you mentioned that you talked about your focus on scalability and reducing manual work, right? And that it related to what Mark just talked about, sorry, Sam Altman, Mark, either way, that this opportunity to redesign the revenue systems with AI and with humans, right? So what I want to do is let's pivot more directly and talk specifically about some of the AI things. So I guess given where you're focused and given where LPL and the direction that you're seeing, like how did what Mark was talking about align to the expectations and resonate with what you're seeing as part of your transformation journey?
Yeah, I think thinking of AI just excites me. I think that's all I can say. I think it just accelerates business values dramatically. There are unimaginary things we have. We are only limited by how much we can think right now. It's not about the tools, the technology around us. We have all those at our fingertips right now. At LPL, we entered into strategic partnership with Anthropic, thinking exactly that. Like, how do we build those advisor workflows? How do we free up their time? The time they're spending into account opening, client onboard, chasing onto the compliance, audit. What are those things which the AI can do it for them? And it's really life-changing. I think if I had to compare how we were moving from typewriters to the computers, getting work done from there, or looking at those postal mails. I know USPS still exists. So, but moving that to the emails. And when I look at my kids now, I mean, I don't think they even send emails anymore. I think they are just chatting on a messaging platform like Instagram, and all they're talking is in emojis. I think the words are going to get shorter and shorter. So it's just so mind-blowing how we are growing. I think at LPL, we look at the problem in multiple ways. What does it actually mean for us? What does it mean for our clients who are advisors? And then their end clients who are the actual, the investors. So at LPL, it has improved product development lifecycle. We are seeing throughout the journey from specification all the way to execution to deployment. How do we do it faster? And for advisors, those operational burdens which I talked about, I think those are the ones which we think can be immediately bring benefit to them. In compensation, we were looking at it as a growth engine, no longer about just a processing part. And for end investor, again, all the tools which can be, if they need to transfer the money, how can they transfer the money fast? We are reimagining all these workflows which have existed because there are endless possibilities now. I believe that we are just limited by how much we can just think right now. And I just want to touch base on one thing which just resonated with me, this is from today, fresh. So Seth talked about in the morning about the library example. He said, there was no library. There was no book in the library which would tell you that how to go to Everest, but now there is. So which means now we know. And now it's like, what should we do about it? So that's what AI opens. Mark talked about the stop number 3. That's very interesting. So I have a few friends in Meta, and I'm also reading Jason, and they are actually already doing those things. So there is a checker. There is a person who's actually writing code. There is a person who is writing who's checking that, and there is a validator, and there is a person who's actually deploying, and they're agent. There is a team of agents right now. They are already there. I think the moment is not to come. Moment is already here. Sooner we know, I think better it is for us to get into the competition and move ahead of the curve.
Well, I think it's a technology that's still newer for all of us. So there's just what a wonderful time to kind of jump in and experiment and figure this stuff out. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing the examples that you've done. A lot of those have resonated for me, especially how you as an organization have taken it from a back office process to be more front office and all those great things. I think it's really, so again, thank you again I really appreciate how thoughtfully you and your team have been approaching your AI strategy. And I knew this time was going to fly by. But I want to say, I guess, before we wrap, we're all in different parts of the evolution. And so I guess what advice, kind of like last thoughts that you would you offer to the room for people that are going through, they're on parts of the journey, maybe in different places on it. I guess what type of advice, if you knew then what you know now, what kind of insights would be helpful?
Yeah, I think the one thing which I would talk about is a transformation. Transformations generally are multi-year journeys. So it's very easy to get a momentum. They always say it's difficult to start and then difficult to end. Everything else is in the middle. So commit to the execution, take it to the finish line, stay focused, measure it. Return on investment is very important. So if we invest a year, we measure it. We do every quarter, do quarterly business review. Whatever is the way in your organization to measure the throughput, the investment return. That's very important. The second one I would say is that embrace AI. I mean, you can just hear me saying, I just feel that there is so much we can do with it. It opens up so many opportunities. So embrace it, get ahead of the curve, measure it. It's also important to have those checkpoints that is it doing what you think it is doing, not just spend $6 billion and thinking it's going to actually increase some productivity. Are you actually checking it? Is it actually doing it? And then what I really feel is the human and AI collaboration works very, very well. The AI can analyze the data. I think Seth gave an example of can you calculate manually on your sheet. It can fast analyze. We can never be able to calculate faster than it. It can analyze gigabytes of data and tell you the insights into the data. But it cannot judge. I think we are there to judge and provide the right context to it. It will just do what we will tell it to do. Just imagine that Mona example, you tell Mona to not order napkins and order bricks.
Sure.
But that's not, you are not a brick shop. So the whole context matter altogether of what you are going to do. I think these transformations to me are not one-time events. I think they are a continuous journey. And I will just say, I don't think any of us has a choice. We cannot just stand still. We have to just get out of the curve. Momentum is our biggest advantage. 9 years ago, people were talking about Tesla launching EVs, and now you can see it's already here. And they are the front runner on it, right? Everybody else is trying to catch up. I think the moments are here. Keep pushing, build the momentum, and just keep solving business problems.
Thanks, Manish. So I think I think you're right. I think we're all feeling this, right? That standing still is not an option for any of us, and that the opportunity that we all have is not just to automate the work, but it's really to remove friction, right, and create more room for judgment, right, and help our compensation teams become even stronger. Certainly, as we try to partner as your teams have to the advisors and the sellers that they support. And I think your advice is a great reminder for everyone here that those who keep pushing the boundaries, right, who refuse to stand still, are really the ones that are going to stay ahead. So again, thank you very much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you, Jason, for having me.
Absolutely. So to keep this conversation going, so one of the things that we hear often is, as we're doing our assessments, people are wondering, like, well, is my organization behind? Or is it ahead, like Manish and LPL? Or are we somewhere in between? And so to give us some perspective, I am excited to introduce Abe Awasthi. Gosh, Abe, I was saying it 100 times. Abe Awasthi from Deloitte to talk about the fundamental shifts that we are all witnessing in our commercial planning. Abe comes from Deloitte, and Deloitte has helped hundreds, thousands, right, of organizations as they've navigated their commercial journeys and their transformations. And so, Abe, I'm going to welcome you up, and I'm going to hand this over to you. And Manish, thank you again. Thank you, sir.